Are you sitting comfortably, children? Your Uncle Nasty has got a few more things to say to you. Now, I don't want to disillusion you because you're young with virgin minds and you probably don't know much about reality. So I'm going to give you simple instructions as to what comprises reality, what existence is all about on Earth. And so to do that, I've made a small list, as it were, of horrors. So this little movie we can call Jim Overbeck, Uncle Nasty, I am your Uncle Nasty, on the horror of life. Next film, read and discuss the horror logo as on Satan Rising, my triptych. Now what that complicated thing means is I did a painting called The Foul Fucking Horror of It All, also known as Satan Rising. Now, on the third panel, I put a list of what comprised reality. And I'm going to read this list to you very slowly. And I actually want you to seriously take note of every word with your mind and see if you can picture it. It's a sort of intelligence test for imbeciles like yourself. Okay? Atrocity, mutilation, castration, pedo-rape, mayhem, disembowelment, burning finality, fungoid growth of psychic black death, madness, deformity, mutation, syphilitic pustulation, shit, vaginal warts, abomination, pride, shattering, suicide, ugliness, murder, envy, havoc, psychopathy, gluttony, greed, slaughter, lusts, genocide, sin, i.e. criminality, crime, blasphemy, inversion, stench the serpent's meat, vegetating blood in veiny pipes, excremental ravings, apoplectic obscene raging, subhumanity's monstrosity of undeification, big words, fly-blown sweepings of the walking sepulchre, war, evil, your cesspit smile, hypocrisy, falsity, rotting garbage, politics, is there a difference? Vomit, academia, agony, convulsion, heresy, excruciation, heroin, death. Now, what I'll do is I shall take my mighty tome, this is Baby Derek, the sort of infantile mad prophet of things to come, and read you small sections from it. If it gets too difficult, just bugger off and hang yourself or something nice. You know. Film talk. I am a film star. At last, fame. Bodily contradiction. The inner man, soma, versus the outer man. Now, let's just get this straight. This, what you see, is the outer man. We all present outer forms, aspects, facets to others. The outer man on the one hand and the inner man on the other. The Greeks said the outer man was characterized by flesh, sarx, flesh, whereas the inner man is characterized by soma. What we mean by soma, what the Vedics called heoma, we'll get to in a bit, okay? If the outer man is dominant, if the flesh is dominant, the world becomes more macrocosmic. The more you are, as it were, wedded to the meat of you, the bigger existence in its rank form appears. If the inner man is dominant, the world can be overcome. Soma is the ability, the light-bearing body is the ability to make itself come forth. Ekparuamai in Greek. I make myself to go forth. The God within can do this. The outer man chafes on the sleeping God within. But the God needs wakening with the fiery rays of divinity, aporoi, so that it can defeat its mortal confinement, its incarceration in this dreadful dying meat, its subhumanity, and become human. The outer man, sunken in material circumstances, is everywhere cast down, locked in, so it seems, per necessitatem. He is a human being, in raised commas, or so he believes. Arabic, insan, human being. It sounds very much like the English word insane, insan, insane. Based on a divide in himself, i.e. the principium individuationis from Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, the principle of individuation, which as it were is manifest in every human who lives and breathes, is contradictory for mortals. In other words, the outer man and the inner man, the flesh and the God within, that which animates the flesh from anima, they are at war. There is a war in our members. Education, therefore, is everywhere diverse and divided, i.e., if we intrinsically are split off or against ourselves, everything we learn, all our knowledge, our episteme, is also divisive as incoming. Only high thinkers know about the God within. Example, Origen, Origenes Adamantius, 185 AD, 257 AD, maybe somewhere around there, says in his book Contra Celsum, he points out the mysteries scientia of elitist divinity. In other words, people are divided into two lots. There is the mob, the horde, the polloi, the many, and there are, as part of a divine hierarchy, there are those who constitute an educated elite, who God gave the nous, the intellect, the highest part of their being, to be something above. And the war in our members, and this is connected with the war in our members, a deliberate pun. We must not, says Origen, be soulish, i.e. fixed on the outer man. In other words, Origen is saying that which lives and walks around is the soul. It's not something hidden within. This is the soul. In other words, it comprises of two parts. The created, the earth-like, which you are born into. You are part of the world. You take from the world and you will return to the world. And on the other hand, that which is behind the flesh, soma, heoma, the God. Origen says, but this is known, that which negates the soul, i.e. the spirit, this is known in enigmata, it is known in mysteries. In other words, it is not known in things that can be merely articulated via sign, symbol, word and or whatever. There is something higher which constitutes the God. He speaks not simply with words, though it is the word that precedes us all, but with light. A God can speak with increate light, i.e. a godly spirit. The atheist dead are dead in their crimes. Their opposition is merely the affirmation of corpses, namely their own. They affirm mortality only, hence they bind the God within by its own strength. Only a God is powerful enough to negate itself by the acceptance of the imposition of mortality. All I am saying is there is one great pervading myth on earth, that is that you are alive, and by alive you think of yourselves as having being, when in reality you are dead. This is as dead as you get. When the corpse is ripped off, this walking latrine that you inhabit, then you really come alive. But you could become alive before then. Earth is largely a satanic prison staffed by evil mortals who receive rewards according to their hybrid ferocity, their willingness to act among hordes of subhuman slaughterers, delivering their fellows to a divinely repressed, delivering fellows in their divinely repressed and God-inhibited species to the torture chambers and abattoirs, to hell's foothold, as it were. These executioners are the ones who govern the earth, so don't ever think it's a wonderful, placid, romantic place. Skeptics, cynics, deluded atheists and other psychotic philosophers say hell is non-existent. They don't allow for a blind spot in their rear view mirrors. As an ancient adversary, these puppets, Satan uses these puppets. He manipulates their egotism. Nothing else has replaced the Lord God but that egotism on top of their common totem pole. In other words, if you say that God doesn't exist, you've made yourself into a false God. Your own ego you put at the top of your totem pole of values, at the apex of your own power pyramid. Atheism should be fed to Islam as troops in opposition. We can cut this part off. Let them have the courage of their beliefs. A great atheist empire? There never was one, because godless egotism is competitive, domineering, mutually antagonistic and self-destructive. They cannot unite. They don't have the cojones. Enough.